on setting the switches. We've got Quest 2 that way. We've got 12 new ones which we need to set. Yes. It's probably looking for like the better than just kind of saying, people taking the lead on consoles, PCs. I mean, in theory, you could do it also with a camera brush, but it's a bit, yeah, it's stretching it. You are welcome to sit Okay, so time presses on and time waits for nobody, definitely not me. Are you all clear on what you need to do? There should be no issues, there should be no problems. I can assure you, if you are sitting here, you are more than capable of passing not just this module, but every module you will do, not just in the first year, but also the second and third. They don't let you in if you can't. The only things that can derail you are the familiar evils. Bad relationships, alcohol, and drugs. Everything in moderation. Alcohol in moderation, the hypocrisy here is outstanding. Drugs in moderation. Drugs are fun, but don't go nuts. Okay? Don't end up tying one off outside the railway station. That's not fun. Bad relationships. You're all going to have them. You may as well get used to them. But the key is, as soon as they suck, ditch their sorry ass. And then you'll do fine in your degree. Okay? I'm not just here to teach you about media. I'm teach you about life. Give you my experience. We're now going to discuss what the hell you are doing. But I want you to take a second. Sit back, take a breath, and relax. There's some of you in this room already sitting back. There's some of you who are like this. Calm down. I want you to either type or write just one line. Why are you doing this degree? Honest, first thing that comes into your head back. You all done? Shouldn't be too difficult. Some of you have written nothing. And that's sad to me. Because it means one of two things. Either one, you're mentally deficient. Or two, you don't know why you're here. And that's bad also. This is like, remember that thing I said about all that money you're going to owe? It's going to suck if you've got no clue about why you're here. Somebody tell me, before I have to start pointing at people at random, I want volunteers here. Somebody, tell me why you're doing this degree. Don't all fucking rush at once, say, because I'm going to be overwhelmed.
Try something new.
Try something new. The fuck out. Next.
I want to do political PR.
Who said that? You want to do political PR?
Yeah.
Tallulah wants to lie and get paid for it. I respect Tallulah already, more than anyone else in this room, because she's honest, but I would not lend her money. Next. Start asking in a second, and that's going to get uncomfortable. Oh,
I want to do broadcast journalism.
you want to do broadcast journalism? What the hell is that?
Speaking in front of the camera. About
Speaking in front of a camera, like me now.
Yeah.
You can't do a worse job. Why do you want to be a journalist?
Because I feel like there's so many things to talk about that people don't know. So.
That is true. Why then are you doing this degree?
Because I feel like it gives me a gateway and a platform to learn things and find the experience I need to go out into the working world.
And that's almost a perfect answer. You will go very far in journalism if you keep answering questions that way. And if you ask questions just as well, you'll go even further. Purpose of this degree for many of you in this room will be to learn a certain set of skills, knowledge and abilities in order to transfer those skills, knowledge and abilities into concrete positions in the real world, just like, what's your name, sorry?
Louisa.
Just like Louisa is intending to do with her stated aim of broadcast journalism. You could be like Tallulah and just develop your psychopathic streak and become a political PR agent. I've got a lot of respect for psychopaths. They get the job done. I think I'm probably on the spectrum somewhere myself on that. This is prosaic. Does anyone know what that word means? No? See, you're already learning shit off me. Prosaic, ordinary, normal, standard, run of the mill. There is nothing wrong with that. But, let me just tell you now, that is not necessarily what you're coming to learn. In week 9, in the second half of week 9, I am going to tell you what it is that you learn in your degree. I'm not spoiling it until then. You know, it's like the television series, you know, like some good television series where, like, you know it's building up to something. Week 9, people. Week 9. That's the big reveal for your entire 3 years, okay? What you are preparing to do over the next 3 years is to do all these things, but in the context of something that sits above that, which is way bigger. And in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to tell you what that thing is, and then in week 9 I'm going to blow it apart and tell you exactly what it is that you're doing. So for now, let us focus on this question. What is media? Does anyone want to venture an answer to this question at the outset? What is media? It is a word that appears in all of your degrees. Do the journalism degree? Media's in it. Do media and comms? Media's in it. Do PR and media? Media's in it. What the hell is it? It's kind of problematic that we have a room full of people who've committed 3 years of their lives to this, and they're not prepared to answer the question, what is media?
Communication.
No. But I can see where you're coming from.
Oh. Communication tool.
Nope.
What was social learning?
Too applied. But I like the way you're thinking.
Platform of communication.
Also too applied, but I like the way you're thinking.
It's like ideas to be presented to consumers.
Too narrow. But again, there's something in what you just said which is not far from being right. But you went a little bit too far.
Delivering a message to all around the world.
Too big. Any more?
There's also platform that we can have our idea and share that.
It's too small.
Just a method of communication between people? Like,
Nearly. Very, very close. Extremely close. Okay. We could be here for a while. Sorry. We could quite easily understand what media are, but that is a different question. We are familiar with internet, television, radio, newspaper, magazines. These are instantiations of the media. These are concretizations of what media is. They are not media itself. That is an important point. The media is usually thought of in textbooks as something or someone situated between an object and a subject. The message being sent and the receiver of the message. So you have object, the sender, the receiver, and the medium sits in between. Just as you said, it is the means by which we send the message. Just filling in a gap in exactly what you said there, but pretty much the medium is what sits between the sender and the receiver of any given message. You might think, okay, what does that mean, Leighton? Well, it means the entire world is mediated. Media is everywhere. This lecture is a mediated experience. I'm not communicating directly with you. You might think, yeah, you are. No, I'm not. The medium for this lecture is several different things. It could be my voice, which you are interpreting, for better or worse. Some of you are interpreting well, some of you are not interpreting well, because some of you are fucking around on WhatsApp. Yeah, these work. This lecture theatre is also a medium. You think, what? So, well, it doesn't work very well with me, unfortunately, because I walk all over the place. But let's say, this isn't the guy who was in here earlier, he like didn't read the front, right? So, yeah, people like, this lecture theatre is a medium. You have been arranged. Look at you looking at me. Why? You're being forced to. You can't look behind you, because your seats are all pointing this way. Everything is focused towards these screens. The theatre acts as a medium. It acts as something which stands between me as a transmitter and you as a receiver, to position you in a way in which you have to pay attention to what I say. Therefore, it is acting as a medium between you and I. We could set this room up in a different way, well, maybe not this room. But we've set up other rooms in different ways, and that would change the nature of the message that was being given. Seminars, for example, are not set up in this way. They're there to facilitate communication between you people, and we all know how that works. You all sit in groups, you kind of don't look at each other, you don't communicate with one another, you're very nervous. But there's always like two people in the room who get on really well, and they just natter shit all the way through. This is how communication works. The medium sits between the message being sent and the receiver of that message. Therefore, your entire degree, ooh, that's cool. Your entire degree is about that. You're going to learn about broadcast journalism. Ostensibly, what you're learning is to be a medium. That is it. So your PR role, you are taking the role of a medium. You're taking the message from that corrupt, bent politician and giving it to the stupid masses in order for them to do what you want them to do. I've got more respect for you all the time. So, this is in the entirety of your degree. Sometimes you will see means of communication being used, but that is too straightforward, because it misses out the big questions. Enterprises, yeah, media is usually associated with companies. But again, that is too straightforward. Social institutions, cultural establishments, the fourth estate, these are all things you might see in other modules. But what I want you to understand is the media as this fundamental shaping force of everything that we actually know. Because there is nothing that we understand which is not mediated in some way. Everything is mediated. Media are technologies that communicate messages to audience in different parts of a region, not objects, but a means, positive or negative they could be, tools of propaganda, democratic sources of truth. It is up to us to shape what those messages are and how they come out. But why do we study the media? This is the most fundamental thing you will learn today. Media is what we engage with to understand the world itself. Everything we know, everything has come through the media. And I think, I went to school for like 13 years, that wasn't media. The school is a medium. When we come to Marshall McLuhan in week 8, you will understand this. The whole purpose of the education system is to operate as a medium. It is not lost on me that this is a medium and your degree is a medium and this institution works as a medium to transmit particular values and ideologies to you. This institution in particular is really problematic as a medium. And you will come to learn over the next 11 weeks that I am possibly the worst employee at Swansea University because I hate the place. But I am here to tell you how it works, not for you to make value judgments of it. Media creates our reality. You all know people who are nuts. You all know at least one person who thinks the earth is flat, because they're a moron. Or you know one person who hasn't been vaccinated because they think it will give them 5G, or something the other way around because they're an absolute moron. And you need to ask yourself, why are they morons? Did that come from somewhere inside? That came because their reality is constructed by the web of media that they consume and trust and are influenced by. These people don't stomp out as morons. They are created by this thing we call media. Media creates our reality itself. The reason why, can anyone tell me what background that is? Where it's come from? The Matrix, thank you. Matrix, very simply, there's a film, the Matrix, there's 4 Matrix films, and the last 3 are terrible, don't watch them. But the first one is a very simple tale of how reality is created by the media. That's it. It dresses it up in all sorts of weird philosophical ways, but at a simple source, the Matrix is a film, and there are a number of different films that do this to a greater or lesser extent. The Matrix probably isn't even the most interesting of them. I have a tattoo on my arm of one called They Live by John Carpenter, which is basically the same kind of idea. Media creates reality. The Matrix, it's a very obvious one. This guy is jacked into a reality which he's not aware is not real. For us in our everyday lives, how we understand the world, how we have knowledge of the world, has come through our engagements with media. What you need to do is blow up what you think media is. Because the temptation always is to think media is television, radio, cinema, and we do modules on this, right? Journalism. It's not. It's everything. It's the institutions we are in. It is the people that we know and how we relate to them. It is the objects that we use. There's a very simple form of media operating in this room right now, which you're not aware of. The light bulb. What does the light bulb transmit? Light. How is light a medium? Light is a medium that allows you to see. Turn the fucking lights off. You soon know about it. McLuhan writes about light, that medium has distinct effects on human experience. The invention of the electronic light bulb meant the day got longer. All of a sudden you have a nighttime economy. People can work at night, people can go for entertainment at night. Impossible before the cheap, and safe and regular use of lighting in cities. This is a medium which transformed our experience of the world. Mediums work when they change or affect the way that we see the world itself. Anything that does that is a medium. Therefore, the multitude of mediums around us create our reality itself. And we study the media in order to understand how reality is created. That is what you are doing over the next 3 years, my friends. Go back to journalism. You want to do something. You want to change the world. Because no journalist has ever gone into journalism without that aim. That's not my aim. What I want you to do, because if you can do this, then you will change the world, is understand how journalism creates the world in the first place. And if you get that, then you can do something with it to make your little changes in the world that you want to do. But you've got to get there first. You've got to understand how journalism makes the world. You can do that, then you can go about being a fucking shit-hot journalist, right? And you can change everything. But I guarantee you, filmmakers will change everything, television makers will change everything, video game designers who change the world, journalists who do that. The fundamental thing that they understand, first of all, is how the world is constructed by those things they are working with. When you get that, then you can do something with media. But that's where you've got to get to first. And that, my friends, is why we study the media. And that is what you will be doing. Better put than I would ever put it. Roger Silverstone sadly passed away now, a professor of media studies, one of the first professors of media studies in the United Kingdom. He said, we cannot evade media presence, media representation. We've come to depend on our media, both printed and electronic, for pleasures and information, for comfort and security, and for some sense of the continuities of experience. It is because the media are central to our everyday lives that we must study them. Key word out of all that is must. For Silverstone, the study of media wasn't optional. It is absolutely fundamental. If you want to understand anything, you better understand this. How the media, in effect, holds our entire existence together. Our permanence. You want an example of that? Go back through your Instagram. Your life history is on that account. It is the running account of your entire history as a person. It is the way now that we keep a narrative about ourselves and explain to ourselves who we are, where we came from, what we have gone through and where we are now. And indeed from there we project into the future. Media organises our memory of ourselves, our experiences. What you actually did in those photos, you've forgotten. You've replaced it with what those photos look like. That is how it works. So, media, in that sense, is actually constructing our reality itself. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this is not a new idea. That dude was talking about this 2,500 years ago. That, my friends, is Plato, who was taught by Socrates, and who in turn became the teacher of Aristotle, and became the cornerstone of all Western epistemology, or what we call knowledge. Plato is the essential theorist in philosophy. Indeed, the entirety of philosophy as a discipline is just a series of footnotes. It's Plato. And I think, how do you know about that? I said, well, because I've got a PhD in philosophy. I do. So, Plato, not just a dead Greek dude, but that is also theist. First media theorist was Plato. Media theory has been around since Plato's time, and we can find the first instance of media theory in his allegory of the cave in the Republic. Has anyone ever heard of the allegory of the cave? I see a couple of nods and a few people put hands up. Shall I be mean and ask you what it is? Yeah? Go for it.
Essentially, it's about how our perceptions warped by what we are brought up with every day. So these prisoners are kept in a cave their whole lives, and are only shown shadows on the wall, and they perceive that as their reality. But when they're taken from that cave and go outside, they're so frightened and scared and don't believe that everything outside is the actual reality. So it shows how everything we see we believe to be a reality.
That's really, really good. I couldn't put that much better myself. It's almost a perfect summary of the allegory of the cave. So, prisoners chained in a cave who can only see shadows cast on the walls. The prisoners accept the shadows, puppets in the cave, as reality, not the representations of reality cast by the puppets themselves. Plato's allegory here works as almost a perfect mapping on of what it is to be a media student and not be a media student. So this is a kind of diagrammatic representation of it. You have here, shadows on the wall. Here's the prisoners, here's the shadows being cast. The only thing they can ever see is these shadows on the wall, and they come to accept the shadows on the wall as the reality of the world itself. When presented with the world as it really is, these people become frightened and scared and look to return to the cave, to what they know, to the representation of the world that they see as safe and real. Because the world to them is something they've never experienced. This is the same, basically, as what happens in the film The Matrix. You unplug these people from the presented reality that's given to them, and they're like, oh, it's bad, They want to go back into it. I think, okay, bring us back to think about what is going on here. You are going to have to do what the prisoners did, but not go back into the cave. You want to pass a degree, you want to be critically informed about media, you're going to have to break the chains, step outside, and critically assess from a different viewpoint. That is what being a media student is. We are breaking you from being the prisoners. You are releasing the chains, and you're going to see the media for what it does, how it constructs the world around us. Who is casting the shadows on the wall that you've been looking at for the last X number of years, however long you've been alive. That is the whole purpose of a media degree, is to transfer you from being the prisoner to being the master. When you get there, you're going to be gods. Gods amongst people. And you can create endless arguments with your friends and family about, you're just a prisoner, chained up looking at your shadows that you see on Facebook, you moron. And then you'll have a fight. On objects will be thrown. And possibly somebody could end up in accident and emergency. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I can promise you. As long as it's not you, in accident and emergency. I take no responsibility for any injuries you get when you become big-headed and start throwing this in people's faces. Plato's point that prisoners are mistaken in believing that the shadows are real and that the world is like the reality they accept. Prisoners, the key word here, the mediation of reality in the cave becomes real. For us, mediation, the process that media does, sitting between reality and us as receivers, we always call that mediation. That is the work that any medium does. It becomes real. What we need to do is understand mediation as a process itself. And your entire degree is a series of applied understanding of the process of mediation. This semester, if you like, we're looking at it at the top level in this module. You're looking at it in an applied fashion in film. You're looking at an applied fashion with journalism. Next semester, you'll be looking at it in an applied fashion with PR. But what you are looking at is what mediation happens here. If you go into the second year and you choose my social media module, we'll be looking at mediation through social media and how it affects your life, yourself. Third year with gaming, I do exactly the same thing. The games act as a mediation of how we understand reality itself. People look at games are just games. All games are mediations. Has anyone in here ever played Grand Theft Auto 5? Okay, that's a lie. Loads of you have played it, you just don't know admit to it. Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of the greatest ideological statements of all time. What it tells you is the only way to be successful is to be rich and to be white. Because, remarkably, the only way that the black character in that game becomes successful is when he goes to live in a white area. There is inbuilt, caked in racist ideology in that game. And people will go to me, it's just a game. No, it isn't. It is a way of understanding the world. It is giving us messages. It is mediating the experience of reality itself so that we understand the world through particular parameters. These people become successful when they become rich. How do they become rich? By stealing off other people. The story of capitalism, people. That's how it works. How do black people become successful? When they stop becoming black and become white instead. What kind of fucking message is that? Well, it is the message of that game. No, it's just a game. If you understand mediation, then you understand what that is doing. What is the purpose of it? Because there's a purpose. There's a reason they wrote that game that way. There's a reason why they wrote those characters in that way. They're not telling that story for a joke. That is an implied worldview of the people who made that game. That is powerful. This is akin, this mediation, to our relationship with the media. Media creates our reality, but mediation is never real. It is constructed. All mediation is a construct. That, my friends, is why it's so important. That is why this degree is so important. This is why these subjects you do in your degree are so important. You are learning both to construct reality and deconstruct reality. Those of you who achieve the high grades across the next 3 years will do those things. Yeah, you'll take your journalism modules, you'll take your PR modules, you'll learn to make. But the ones who get the high grades are the ones who learn how to deconstruct that making. Fundamentally understand that what you are making with those things is a particular form of reality, and you can pull that apart. Deconstruction is just as important as construction. And if you are a good media student, you understand how to deconstruct, how to understand what goes into those constructions of reality themselves, how to unpick it, how to fundamentally get at what messages are being communicated underneath the facade of media itself. Have we any questions? This became a bit bigger than you were thinking last week, right? Like media degree, yeah, we'll watch some films. You might have to like read a web page every now and again and then it'll be fine. No. It's a lot more to it, my friends. We ask questions like, what kind of films get made in the Hollywood system? In a few weeks' time, you are going to, I mean, this is not going to surprise anyone after the last hour and a half, but you are going to see me lose my shit about chick flicks. It doesn't have to be chick flicks, right? But fuck you and your chick flicks. That's all I've got to say about it. Every one of those fucking films is the same. Blonde, bit of a twat, has boyfriend. Brunette, not twat, stunning, but apparently is not as good looking as the blonde, because that's Hollywood, right? Blondes are more. Falls in love with man, who's with blonde, who is a bit of a twat. Eventually, through a series of funny incidents, man realises that, man, who is quite obviously brain dead, realises that brunette is the one that he should be interested in. And they all live happily ever after. Wrong! Blonde ends up in rehab because she becomes crack whore. Alright? Brunette ends up in divorce court because man was obviously a scumbag to begin with. Goes chasing after the first blonde tail he can afterwards because, that's what men do. Fuck you and your chick flicks. I've seen them. I've seen one, so I've seen them all. What kind of films get made in the Hollywood system? Well, films like that. Why? People go and watch them. They've no artistic merit. They make, a film like that makes jerking off look like a spiritual quest. But these things get pumped out time and time again. Do I have to watch another Marvel film? No. Do you know what? I watched one. They're all the fucking same. They are literally the same film over and over again. It's like, what are you paying money to watch this shit for? It's the same thing. White American dude saves the earth. Oh, I wonder what the underlying message of that is. Well, once we go through this course, you will understand why Hollywood makes films like they do. Who owns the media and what effects does that have? Those are fundamental questions that we need to answer. Boring questions though. Does technology alter our consciousness of the world and why? Critical point of that is why. Why does technology affect us? Why build things? Let's have a look. Phone. Thank you. Not back, don't worry. Why were these ever made? These little black mirrors that dominate our consciousness. I can see people in this room now itching to pick up your phone and to have a look. Because somebody might have left a little digital breadcrumb for you to have that little dopamine hit. It's like, oh yeah, oh, that's a like. Put your phone down, and then it's like a couple of minutes later, you're like, why? There's a reason. The logics of smartphone design are well known to psychologists who study addiction, particular addiction to opioids, because it's the same chemical reaction that goes on. You ever seen a heroin addict itching for a fix? There's a few of you in here who look exactly like them right now. Technology alters our consciousness of the world by dominating our attention in particular ways. How many of you, when you're on the bus, don't have headphones in? What are you, a psycho? You're the guy who all the nutters come sit next to, right? We all do it, right? Because we're altering our consciousness of the world. We might be sitting on the bus, but we're not there. We're somewhere else. Either what we're listening to, or what we're doing, if we're playing a game on our phone, for example, alters our consciousness and perception of the environment around us. It puts up a wall between us and the rest of the people on the bus, creating a bubble of personal space, entirely constructed by the media that we are using at that point in time. Media alters consciousness itself. Fundamental, very, very important. Does media violence make children violent? No. Hopefully.
No.
There's got to be a point to that. I hope so. There's not enough violent children in this world. More. I want to start a program of making children violent. There's less violence today than there used to be years ago. We used to beat the shit out of each other in school on a daily basis, right? There's a lot less going on now. We will laugh at this debate when we come round to it. What sort of relationship between celebrities and fans? Has anyone ever done any fanfic? Liars. There's a few of you in here, right? You've got to learn when you're a lecturer. You've got to learn when you go too far. Years ago when I was teaching in Ireland, I did a lecture on fan communities and the relationship between fans and media and fans and groups. And I encouraged students to bring in examples of their fan fiction that they've made. And a young girl, I won't say her name because I want to forget her name. She's a big One Direction fan. This was about 2016, so it was still a thing. And she didn't bring anything in, but she brought a link to her Tumblr. Right? So we put it up on the screen. I didn't think to look at this prior to putting it up. It is still the most fucked up thing I've ever seen. She'd basically drawn, hand drawn, and it was very impressively detailed hand drawings. All of the members of One Direction having intercourse with one another in incredibly detailed ways. Which ended up with, from what the only way I could tell was like Harry Styles got impregnated by the other four. And I put that up in the lecture. So I'm not doing that anymore. But there's a relationship between celebrity and fandom there that if you have that kind of relationship, dial it back a little, okay? In order to understand these things, quite simply we need to employ theory. The role of theory in media studies is to help us understand the phenomena that is presented in front of us on a daily basis. Theories are not the word. Week 4, when we come on to Marx, one of the problems I always get with people who write essays about Marx is they look at the sort of southern superstructural theory of the structure of society and say, Marx says that society is made... No, he doesn't. Marx never said anything of the sort. Marx offers us a theory by which we can understand some of the implications of private ownership of, in his case, manufacturing, and what that means for culture. Marx does not argue that society is like this. Theory is an abstraction from society that allows us to understand some elements of it. But because it is an abstraction, it means that it is always imperfect. No theory is 100% right. Theory, my friends, is not the truth. Theory is something we use. Some theories are good at doing some things. Some theories are bad at doing others. Your job as a critical student of theory will be to pick theories appropriately, but also show that you understand why those theories can be criticised in the first instance as well. How do you get to that point? Can anyone tell me? Holy shit. Blowing you guys away, right? 1, you listen to what your lecturers tell you, and 2, you read. The more you know, the easier that job becomes. For those who want to get high grades, you will be able to understand, select, and critique theory. I can't put it any more simple than that. If you want to do that, that's what you've got to do. Okay? Theories are abstractions. The purpose of a theory is to explain, comprehend, and interpret phenomena and put forward propositions suggesting why such phenomena occur in the manner that they do. They are not what happens. They are explanations of what happens. Those two things are different. But theory is essential to being a media student. Somebody in this room would be like, well, I'm here to do practice. It's like, yeah, you want to do practice well? You still got to understand this, because the critically informed practitioner is the one who is good. If you don't understand that, you'll just be the person holding the gaffer tape for the camera person, because that's all you'll be able to do. Being critically informed about practice is how you become the person who directs the film, who edits the newspaper, not the person who makes tea for the people who sweep up the newspaper office. I've got a whole thing here about the roots of media theory, but you know what? You can go through that in your own time. It's not particularly interesting. I'm going to finish. So these slides are things that you can go through, and indeed, really, William will do this job for you when you read his chapter for assignment 2. There is William there. Media studies as an area has had a focus on 2 areas: content and reception, how we make things and how they're received. That really goes up until the early 2000s. The history of media studies was a history really of understanding content and reception. Since the early 2000s and the emergence of digital media, that picture has changed. We now live in the digital media age. Content and reception don't work in the same way anymore. There is a massive schism between the mass media age, which came before the digital, and the digital media age. We will get into that in this module, so you are critically informed about both sides of what that means. But the digital media age is really, really where we are. I want you all to take a pledge. So please, put your hand over your heart. Oh yeah, I'm not starting until you do it. And repeat after me. I will. Beat the crap out of anyone, including lecturers, who uses the phrase new media. This is right. Any of your lecturers, and it's them that's going to use it, says the words new media. What they're referring to is digital media. Digital media starts effectively with the formulation and invention of the internet. Does anyone know when that happened? In 1967. First instantiation of the internet. The internet is a 60s technology. If some prick sold me a car from 1967 and said it was new, well, we don't want to think about the response that would happen, but my knuckles would be hurting. You will see people still talk about new media. There is no new media here. Everything is digital. Those of you who are interested in newspapers, guess what? Digital. All their production is digital. They are available digitally. Digital views outstrip people who buy the physical copy by many, many magnitudes to 1. Hundreds, thousands to 1. Television, all digital. Distribution of it has been solely digital in this country for more than 10 years. All production is digital. Film, all created digitally, all distributed digitally. There are no film reels in the projectors in cinemas anymore. It is a digital file. That's it. Need I go on? Everything is digital. Everything you do. Not one of you, when you're doing a skills-based module in your degree, is going to do something analog. Because what the hell would the point be? You'll never get a job doing anything analog. Why would you learn that? All digital. Very, very important. And hence, since the emergence of digital, focus on content and reception has changed because, frankly, the world of media has changed. From a mass media age into the age we experience today, where we are peppered with things which are individually tailored towards us, because we each leave a series of digital breadcrumbs behind us which allows companies to granularly know us in ways which we don't even know yet. Therefore, when we use theory from media from the past, we always have to think is this appropriate for the age in which we are understanding? Some is, and some quite frankly isn't. And that is another contour of things that you will have to understand. Really what I've been asking you all to think about in the last 50 minutes is why you're here. Why are you studying this subject? Some of you have aims. Do you know what, there's quite a lot of you in this room who probably don't have an aim, and that's perfectly fine. I think that's absolutely fine. Most of you in this room are probably 18 years old. My aim, when I was 18 years old, was to drink as much as I possibly could. I had no other aim beyond that, I can assure you. Don't worry. You don't have an aim yet, that's fine. Honestly. At least you're doing a subject, which means you can go off and do a lot of different things. You're doing a subject which is often presented as being for slackers, losers, and dropouts. But media studies is a waste of time. The people who do media studies must be thick, stupid, couldn't do anything better. Why aren't you doing a maths degree? Why aren't you doing it? Do you know why? Maths degree. It's fucking boring. Ooh, 1 + 1 = 2. Oh, who cares? Science degree. Yeah, nice one, science, bitch. Fix my tally. Alright? Media is reality. Therefore, your degree is the most important that anyone can do. Your aim is to understand the construction of reality. Is there anything more important? I think not. This is the most important subject that anyone can do. We are looking at the construction and deconstruction of reality itself, because all reality is mediated. We have philosophy, critical theory, critical research, political science, social science, economic science, behavioural science, all in your 3-year degree. You'll be exposed to all of this. Congratulations, you have made the best choice. If anyone tells you media is a waste of time, please send them to my office. I'm not joking. I love meeting people like that. Now, you know I'm in seminars tomorrow, so I will see you guys next week. Remember, handbooks, content, get on top of it. If you have any questions in the meantime, you know where I am.
Sorry, get the notebook.